I'm Stacey Epstein, your host. I'm a former CEO and four-time CMO, and I am in awe at how much AI is transforming our profession. I created this podcast to help expose some of the incredible new technologies and the amazing new ways we're doing work with AI in marketing and in go-to-market in general. I hope you enjoy the show. Here's the next episode. On today's show, I have a very special guest. She is also a very close friend of mine and a former colleague at multiple companies. I'm so thrilled to welcome Liz Carter to the show today.
Hi. So happy to
Hi.
be here.
I know. Nice to see you. It's so fun to have you on the show.
I know. Well, I've been an avid listener, and I am excited to get to talk to you and share the things that we're doing at Reputation.
Awesome. Well, I will start by saying that Liz and I have worked together at multiple companies, Success Factors, ServiceMax, some really great big hits. In my career, were alongside Liz, who always made a great contribution. But now she is doing her own thing as a CMO at a really impressive company called Reputation. And let's just start, Liz. I always love for the listeners to get to know you a little bit. So tell us a little bit about your journey. I know it, but you can explain it to others and tell us about how you got to Reputation and what drew you to that role.
Yeah. Um, totally. Well, I like to say that I kind of fell into my career in marketing. I started in event marketing, really, kind of close to field marketing, but actually just putting on, sales kickoff events and major trade shows and internal and external, like big brand moments. And I started in tech in Atlanta in internet security. And I, happened upon a company, friend of a friend that had gone to Success Factors and ended up making the move out west. And now I've been in the Silicon Valley for almost 20 years, which I can't even believe.
Hard to believe.
And I think that those very early days working on those big brand moments was like a crash course in marketing, right? Because when you think about those big moments, you are doing analyst relationships and PR. You're doing a lot of product marketing because what are the products you're bringing to market at the time? You're doing a ton of, demand gen activities. How are you going to get value out of those big trade shows, And so I kind of got really close to all areas of marketing running those events. And as my career moved on, as I had opportunities at Success Factors and then ServiceMax, I recognized that I enjoyed all of those different areas. And I had a really, maybe a unique perception on it because of the way I had come into marketing. And actually working with you, Stacey, who had a background in sales, you always really talked about how important it was for marketing to stay close to sales. And I think that in our careers as we work together and then sometimes apart, that always like stuck true with me. And so I think that that part of marketing isn't successful if your business isn't being successful, if you aren't able to sell out in the marketplace. I just wanted to continue to grow my career and take on all the areas of marketing. I was really enjoying working across all of the different pieces of marketing. I got the opportunity to run ServiceMax as the CMO for about 2 years, and then we got bought. And I knew it was time for me to take all the things I'd learned and sort of see how I could work in a different market. And that's when I found Reputation, which was about 2.5 years ago now. And I had been working in a space for the last 11 years, selling into service and field service teams, and Reputation was selling into marketers and to operators. And so I really thought that sounded fun. I was ready to be creative in a way that I maybe hadn't been as much. Not that service is not a really awesome group to sell into, but I really was excited about selling into marketing and marketing to and the things that I could do there.
Well, they are certainly lucky to have you. Tell us about Reputation. Most people listening to this podcast right now are marketers, and so Reputation is for them. And I know you guys have made a big shift toward AI, probably since you've been there. But first, tell us about Reputation. What is it? Why do marketers need to care about Reputation?
Yes. So we really work with companies that are B2C, and I say that in quotes a little bit. It is companies that have multiple locations that are serving consumers who are buying products or services. in the healthcare space too, patients as opposed to consumers. But we are working with companies that have a lot of locations and they're trying to manage their brand reputation in today's very dynamic digital spaces. And so, what we really want to do is help those customers always understand what their customers, their consumers, their patients are seeing about them online, how they're showing up, why customers are choosing them or not choosing them, and helping them really understand that so they can make changes, strategic changes in their business to help those customers choose them more. So that's really what we set out to do.
Give me some example customers or use cases so that everybody can understand. I think we do have a lot of B2B marketers that listen to the show, but I think this whole notion of brand management and reputational awareness, it matters to all of us. So give us a couple of examples of the power of reputation.
Sure. We work in the healthcare space. There's some that we don't talk about, but Intermountain Health is a great customer who operates hospitals and other sort of units across kind of the Western United States. And they're a great customer of ours in the healthcare space. We also work in the auto space. So you can imagine partnerships with major OEMs like GM and Ford, and then also partnerships with auto dealers and big dealer groups like AutoNation. All of those businesses or healthcare facilities are trying to manage their reputation across a lot of locations, a lot of consumers and patients that are out there searching for, options where they want to buy their car, where they want to seek service, looking at reviews online, trying to understand, okay, what's the latest fad? What's the latest technology? Or what's the experience that I am looking for? All of these are critical moments in time. You're going to purchase a car. You're going to choose the doctor that you want to go to or that you want to take your kid to. You're talking about meeting a consumer where they are, making a purchasing decision that is emotional, where you live, where you go to the doctor. Are you going to get a car? Even the restaurant that you choose to go for your friend's birthday. I mean, those are actually emotional decisions that people are making. And today with AI and the way search is changing, and the way consumers, you and I, Stacey, can get online and look for the exact experience that you want and what's being served up to those consumers, that's a very rapidly changing market. And so that's what we're really trying to help our customers stay on top of.
Okay. Just for the uninitiated, is it data that you're delivering? Is it ratings? Is it like, what is the actual use case for the customer? And then I want to get into AI.
So when Reputation started, what we really helped customers do was manage their online reputation. We really saw that public sphere of data and information as being a game changer for businesses. And over the course of a decade or more, those reviews have become table stakes. I mean, who doesn't look at a review to decide whether they're even going to consider, a dealership or a restaurant or a dentist? It's like automatic. You see it, you know, and that makes the top cut or not, you move on.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's like table stakes today. And so what we do is, we help our customers manage, first of all of those different spaces. So you want to show up in Google, you want to manage your business listings on Google. And if you have multiple locations, it's actually not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of administrative work that you have to do to manage that. And I don't know if you've ever tried to update a business listing, but it can be really cumbersome. And so what we did early on was really build an infrastructure around helping businesses manage that online reputation. As the market shifted, we realized, well, you need more information. I mean, yes, it's great to have all that public opinion of you, but there's all this survey data that you're doing. How do you get that into the same place? There's all this data that we're seeing in the social sphere that's impacting your brand. How do we pull that into the same place? Where are all the sources and the places where your consumers are going and looking for information on you? We're trying to bring that all together in one place so that you can really understand and then provide those insights, like you said, that data back to you of what's happening, brand, how is your brand stacking up, in real time.
So Gen AI must have completely changed the game for you guys because now there's a whole new place everybody's going to look for for things to purchase and for customer opinion on those things to purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 years ago, we had to look at the market and where it was going and how it was changing. It was already changing. Today, they say 85% of consumers are using some form of generative search engine to do research, to find options. Website visits are down. People aren't even clicking over to your website to make a purchasing decision. And so really that work we started so long ago, that wasn't wrong. But the thing we realized back then was that in order to really get the most out of AI, companies were going to start bolting AI onto their platform and their product. And we saw a lot of that start to happen. What you actually really need to do is, and what we chose to do was actually rebuild our platform. And I think, Stacey, having been in the SaaS space for a long time, building a new platform is not for the faint of heart.
Right.
That's a big investment. That's a big choice. That's a big bet to make in the market. But I think the reality is we had some really smart people. Our CEO, we brought in some really great product folks and engineers to sort of say, if you want to bolt on AI to this, okay, you're going to get some information. But the reality is of like data storage of old is sort of like very static. It's linear. And what you need for AI is to have that not so static and linear. You got to have it all angles so that the AI and the LLMs can draw out the connections to your data. So we actually rebuilt our platform so that as we move our customers over to it, which is the work we've been doing right now over the last 18 months, and we build new products on top of it, they're going to get just a deeper amount of insights from the data that we've been building over decades, but now it's been repiped into one unified intelligence hub is what we call it, so that we can really add AI, it's in the center of it, and really give our customers the insights that they need.
Yeah, interesting. I do think there's like two categories of AI companies. And the first is big existing software company that is trying to bolt AI on, as you mentioned. You and I have worked at some of those companies. And then there's these native AI upstarts that, I mean, I've had a lot of them on the show that are just saying, no, we're going to build this from the beginning using AI, and we're going to maybe even rethink how it's done. Instead of throw a copilot onto a process,
Totally.
let's just start over. And I would guess that your decision was probably almost forced, because this isn't bolt-on AI functionality. This is like people are searching in a completely different way, and you've got to meet them where they are. So now that you have this native AI solution for reputation management, now how has the use case changed for your customers? How do they use reputation now that it's fully native AI?
Our customers haven't changed, right? They're the same. They're the same types of customers, but their needs have evolved. They're managing a market where their consumer is buying very differently. They're searching for them online in a very different way, and so they need to understand what that looks like. How are they showing up every day? Because, by the way, that changes on a regular basis. Every time a consumer has an interaction and they decide to put that out there on the web, it changes their brand perception out there in the market. They absolutely want to stay up on top of that. What has happened because of this is brand management has become a much more used term. Reputation management, really understanding your brand out there in the market and staying on top of it, because it can change in like the blink of an eye, right? And so I think that's the sort of reality, is that all of a sudden this area of the market has microscope on it. People really need to understand their brand perception in real time in order to stay up, because the consumers can change that perception at any time. And so I think that's really the kind of fundamental shift, is that all of a sudden now it's not just marketing that's interested in really reputation management. We're talking about the intelligence that we can provide you about your business by location, at a brand level, but then also across your competitors, across your industry. How does your brand stack up? What are the places across the consumer journey? And again, we can only share that stuff because we rebuilt all that data, piped it in a way so that now, did that customer write that review about which stage in that journey? Maybe it's multiple. How do we pull all of those little pieces forward to show them where are they performing well in their consumer journey and where are they not? So it's really trying to uncover those blind spots for companies. I envision a world where reputation intelligence is at the center of your business intelligence team.
Yeah. Again, a lot of companies are thinking about how they add AI to their solution. But I think in the reputation management world and reputation intelligence world, it's a little bit more about how do I evolve how I manage my brand because of AI.
Exactly.
And so it's a different thought process that this has become infinitely more important because AI has fundamentally changed the way people buy.
Exactly. And it's still changing. Every time ChatGPT makes a big update to their tool set, all of a sudden they're pulling from maybe different places than they used to, or they're prioritizing different things than they used to. We had Google at a conference recently, and they own YouTube, and they want video content and they want photographs to be prioritized. Businesses need to have those on their business listings so that they're
Mhm.
getting pulled and inventoried. And they're saying that, I mean, this was 6 months ago. I'm sure this stat has changed. 15% of daily searches are brand new. Well, that means people literally every day are changing the way they search. They're putting so much more context in their search. They're looking for specific experiences. And so one of the things we're trying to do is really serve that information back to our customer so that they can say, okay, I want to make sure that I'm known as a hospital that treats these types of patients because those are the types of things that are being asked online.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's that kind of
Yeah.
information.
Buyers are giving a lot more clues into what they want to know as they buy, and
Totally.
the vendors definitely need and want that information, not only to help them meet buyers where they are, but probably also to improve their services.
Exactly. I was just talking to my team. We recently rolled out a product called Voice of Brand. And it's so fascinating. This is a product where you can upload your brand guidelines to our system. It inventories it. It searches all the reviews and review responses, and it can tell you how your review responses align to your brand guidelines and what's showing up that is matching and where you might have gaps, ways in which you might want to train your teams differently to respond to reviews. But also those frontline employees, hey, here's what we're seeing in our reviews that
Yeah.
don't match our brand
Yeah.
guidelines. you know think about that when you're interacting with customers. Bring these things forward. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah. Really awesome. Really cool. Well, we've been chatting so easily for a while, but we're just about out of time. Any thoughts about the future and where this is headed for brand marketers and marketers in general?
It's a really fun time to be a marketer.
Mhm.
I do think that, brand management, reputation are becoming, really important. And I think they always have been, but they certainly took a backseat, I think, for a while to
Totally agree.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think that this is a time where you want to be sure you have the right data at your fingertips, and think about the teams that have been building revenue operations team and business intelligence teams within your business. And if you're not pulling in reputation data in those places, I think you're really missing out. And I think that's the sort of change. I would say a lot of times this data lives within your marketing team or within your customer success team. They're getting some feedback through surveys, but oftentimes it's siloed. It's in different areas of your business. And this is when you really need to start to think about, how do we pull all of that together? How do we build, the right intelligence hub for reputation so that we can really get the most out of what our customers are experiencing in real time?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it sounds very powerful. If I had a brand, I would start to use it. But hopefully our listeners have learned something. I've certainly learned something. And of course, it was great fun to have you on the show. So thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for having me. Enjoyed it.